Way to go, Tic Tac!
That's how you punch.
Wakanda forever!
Nah, you wouldn't have heard of me.
Let me put you on hold.
Dance off, bro! He's a friend from work!
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
What up, guys? It's Dom, and welcome back to another TV show review. Today we are going over and ranking What If Season 3. So Season 3 is the finale of the What If series, which is unfortunate because of the wasted potential that this entire series did have. But I can tell that it is the ending because unlike the other two seasons, this one really is a multiversal type ending. So it makes sense for why they would choose this as the finale of What If. But regardless, I'm going to go over why all of this is just so much wasted potential and why it's so upsetting that they ended it off this way with the 7 essential aspects of a TV show. The first essential aspect is plot. I was not a big fan of the plot in Season 3 because it was just like the other seasons where each episode is just a different story and then they eventually connect, but they did more heavily lean on the main plot of this season, which is the one that led to the finale and how this season how this show ended. So that plot I was not a fan of. When it came to the individual stories, I love them just as much as the ones in the previous seasons, just because it's a spin on something I already know. It's really interesting. The concept is good. However, that individual plot, I'm not a fan of. It made it seem way too simple for these heroes that are clearly not as powerful as the villains to defeat them. It just made it way too simple, and it was very aggravating to see. And honestly, me knowing that this is how this show will end without even a possibility of expanding on all these different worlds that were untouched in this show that I thought would be the only show to touch these subjects, because it's literally a show designed to take things that already exist, change them slightly, and show you what could have been. Literally, what if? And they decide to end it after 3 seasons in such a poor, sloppy way. So it's just aggravating in general as a Marvel fan and as someone that enjoys this type of series. So overall, the plot was probably the biggest downside of this Season 3. The second essential aspect is attraction. When it comes to the attraction and the concept and the comedy, I mean, it's still the same. It's the same throughout the whole series. They do well with actually making sure that it's not too goofy. It is way goofier than I would like, but it's not overly goofy to the point where it's unenjoyable to watch. And the concept on its own is very good. It's very interesting. I love it so much, but it's just, again, wasted potential. They could have made it spectacular. This could have been one of the better Marvel shows to exist. Instead, they made it average, very, very average. Some would even say below average. So yeah, I am not going to speak very highly of this Season 3 because this was honestly its last chance to really make something amazing out of it. The third essential aspect is dialogue. The dialogue was as good as it needed to be. I mean, it didn't need to be anything special. It just needed to have at least a realistic sounding conversation between the characters with good voice acting. And the voice acting I'll get to after this in the acting section, but when it comes to the actual dialogue and the conversations between the characters, it wasn't anything cinematically spectacular, but it also wasn't terrible. It was something that's simple to watch. It's just conversations happening between characters and easy to follow along, so that's really all you can ask for. The fourth essential aspect is acting. So obviously this is an animated series, so it's all voice acting. And like I said in the previous 2 series, no one really does a terrible job voice acting. It is just the writing of the show that causes some of these conversations to possibly not feel super realistic or some of the voice acting to not be great. It's just the lines they were given. But I do want to give a big shout out, like always, to Jeffrey Wright, who plays Uatu the Watcher, the main Watcher of this series, the one that you are seeing through his eyes and what stories he is telling you. He's the main narrator, and I think he uses an amazing voice to kind of have this deep, almost menacing voice that makes you feel like he is all powerful. He is the one holding this stuff together, and he is the one to look out for. So I think his voice really matches the character well and adds a whole new level to this series, but everyone else does as good of a job as they can do with the writing they were given. The fifth essential aspect is cinematography. Before I continue with the cinematography, I did forget, because I did finish watching this season quite some time ago, I just looked at my notes. Yeah, the one thing that I do want to say is good about the plot is it does do one of those things that I do enjoy with the finale of some of these series, which is it does connect it full circle, which is good because if It's going to end off in a disappointing way. At least it shows you how the entire story connects all together. So that I have to give it gratitude for, but still the rest was very disappointing, especially with how good the concept was. But when it comes to the cinematography, emotionally, as emotionally dependent that finale was, I was not invested. Some of these characters were in this series for all 3 seasons, and I still wasn't very emotionally connected to that character. They just didn't do a good job getting you there. So that is very disappointing. But the visuals, as I kept saying, I do like the animation style. I think it is good. It adds a level of cartooniness without actually being overly 2D or cartoony. So I do like that kind of animation style where it feels realistic but still clearly animated. So that in itself visually is good, but the emotional side is the disappointing part of the cinematography. The 6th essential aspect is soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack is just a classic Marvel soundtrack. It's just intense music when it needs to be, action music when it needs to be, sad music when it needs to be. It's nothing special. It's definitely nothing memorable, but they did do a good job using the specific sounds in each individual scene, especially if they were referencing some other moment that has previously happened in a Marvel movie. It uses the same song to kind of put you in that same headspace. So that is interesting at least, but for a very memorable soundtrack, it is not there. And the 7th essential aspect is time. Sadly, season 3 will stand the test of time as a very disappointing finale for the show. But honestly, after seeing this season, I don't think that this show overall will stand the test of time. I think someone will use a similar concept to make a way better show in the future, and no one will really remember this. Maybe season 1. Season 1 was a good season. They did everything really well. They just could have connected it a little better, but after the third season, it really was just, wow, nothing is really comparing to season 1. So that is unfortunately the way that this will stand the test of time as probably one of the more disappointing finales to a Marvel TV show. At least that exists for now. I'm sure there will be worse ones. But yeah, overall the show I don't think will stand the test of time, other than for those real severe Marvel fanatics that enjoy anything Marvel that may even rewatch this in the future like me. Then it will stand the test of time, but not for the average viewer. Now, onto the rating. So I'm gonna be blunt and it's gonna be very simple. This is gonna be a 60%. It definitely does not belong in the 50s and 40s. That entire bottom 50% is saved for some real bad television. I mean, nothing good I can say about it. That's where that would belong. At least there is some positives in this season. There is at least some things that I can remember enjoying in season 3. So that alone puts it at least in 60. I think 60 is a solid place to put it for as much, that 40%, all of that was the bad stuff. The rest at least had something that you can enjoy in moments. So yeah, 60% is where I'd put it. I wouldn't really put it higher. And finally, the rankings. So individually, it's going to be 3rd below season 2. I don't really think this was a question. Honestly, What If went season 1, season 2, season 3, it's just going in order. It got worse with time. It got worse overall. I just don't really know how they could really screw it up that much. They had such a good thing going with season 1. If they just continued the same exact structure with the same exact format, it would have been great. They could have gone probably 10 seasons of having all different stories in all different seasons, and it would have been very enjoyable. People would have loved the show. But instead, it really is just, this resembles it perfectly. Just downhill, all seasons downhill. So it wasn't really much of a choice for me. It was very easy. And in all time, it's going to be 3rd, above Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1 and below Blue Mountain State Season 1 through 3. Now, the only reason I'm putting it above Amazing Spider-Man is really because it's the only season. There's only one season of it. If they added the 2nd season and it was even close to the first season, it's going to go above What If. What If just doesn't have enough. It just has barely enough to get by one season of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but obviously not even close to enough to get through 3 seasons of Blue Mountain State. It really doesn't. Blue Mountain State is a great show, even though the one thing that it lacks is the plot. It doesn't have a very big, consistent plot until the 3rd season. So that it doesn't have, and it is very hit or miss if you will enjoy that show, but I think more people will probably enjoy that show than What If. So I clearly had to put it above it. That's all I have for What If Season 3. If you guys enjoyed this review, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and make sure to comment what TV show or movie you want me to review next. If you want to see someone that does something very similar, check out my best friend, Mr. Majoritarian. He does the same thing I do, except he doesn't do TV shows. He only does movies. And he has 2 ongoing all-time lists going on, one for cinematography and one for entertainment. So if that's something you think you might enjoy, check him out. His link will always be in my description. And I hope you guys have an amazing night. Peace out.